Viruses, taxes, and fees, oh my! Greetings everyone, this is the Gardening Snail of Livingston, California. I've been City Council watching since at least 2007, and sometimes my head just wants to explode. In this video, we will update what happened with COVID-19 numbers in the county for the week ending July 3rd. Then briefly go over the Livingston City Council meeting agenda for July the 7th. Before we get to the more heavier stuff, I'm happy to report that another larger-than-life art cutout has been installed at the Winton Parkway entrance to Livingston. My understanding is there will be even more as time goes by that will join them either at Winton Parkway or other entrances to Livingston. Moving on to Merced County versus the coronavirus. During the last couple of days in June, the county kept much of its original formatting on the dashboard, although they were a little late in getting it updated. The first revision eliminated the number of active cases as well as the number of recovered cases, although it kept all of the bar graphs. The Tuesday, June 30th update pretty much kept this format. On Tuesday, June 30th, the county decided, in its infinite wisdom, to only do press releases on Tuesdays, although the statistics themselves would be updated on weekdays. When the Wednesday, July 1st update took place, there was a major revision to the dashboard. The positive cases by community bar graph had been replaced by a line graph, and two new line graphs were added. A total case curve, like where my red arrow is pointing to, and a new cases chart my yellow arrow is pointing to. I have a purple arrow pointing to the cases by community chart, and I want to point out that unless you know how to expand that chart and make it bigger on your screen, it can be difficult to isolate the individual community numbers on a daily basis. See that green arrow pointing to the blue oval? Yeah, I've seen a complaint or two about that. Now let's move over to those stars I've added on the right-hand side of this example of the dashboard. Red star, purple star, yellow star, green star. Red star is for probable active cases, as in it's a guesstimate based on the number of new cases within the last 14 days. Purple star is next to the number of total people ever hospitalized. It's the grand total of how many people ended up in the hospital since the outbreak began. Whereas yellow star is next to the number of people actually in the hospital at the time the dashboard was updated. Now, green star points out the number of positive cases by age range. And you'll notice that there has been a split in the 18 to 49 age range. It's been split into an 18 to 34 and a 35 to 49 age range. On Wednesday, July 1st, Governor Gavin Newsom ordered indoor dining services to close in Fresno, Tulare, Kings, and Merced counties as part of the new changes to the stay-at-home order amid a spike of coronavirus cases. Thursday's update shows another increase in positive cases as well as another increase in probable active cases. Thursday the 2nd saw that Merced County would have 21 days to improve its COVID-19 cases. If COVID-19 cases continue, harsher restrictions would follow. Friday the 3rd's update saw that total cases were up, probable cases up, ever hospitalized up, however, deaths were holding at 11. Now we're going to back up a day or so in time and look at the July 3rd press release, which basically called for a screeching halt and backtracking on the business reopening process. It also required the mandatory use of face coverings in certain circumstances. The county also announced a new Outbreaks tab had been added to the county's COVID-19 page. The page provides information on current outbreaks in Merced County using the California Department of Public Health's definition of an outbreak, which includes 3 or more individuals with no linkage outside of the workplace working in the same facility and shift, or 1 resident of a skilled nursing facility. When a facility is determined to be in an outbreak protocol, the Merced County Department of Public Health works closely with the facility to mitigate the spread of disease. Affected close contacts are contacted by the facility or employer. The county also announced a second round of funding through the COVID-19 Reopen Merced County Fund. The fund provides grants to small employers experiencing economic stresses in order to prevent potential layoffs or facilities closures during COVID-19. As of June 30th, a total of 14,269 tests have been performed in Merced County. And what you're seeing here is a list of COVID-19 testing locations in Los Banos, Merced, and Atwater. Here I've enclosed a photo of the county outbreak page. As you can see, some of them are closed cases and some are still active. I've updated my own active cases, total cases bar graph. Because of the scale I'd used, the number of total cases went off the chart, so to speak. In this chart, active cases are shown in red until the date the county switched the definition from active to probably active, which is why those last 3 bars are a pinkish color to visually represent that change. The color on the tops of each bar represent the different time frames. Yellow for the initial stages of the outbreak, burnt orange for when the reopening phases first began, and gray for when the reopening process first accelerated. This table shows numbers I've gleaned from the daily updates by the county. Total cases in gray, active in red, recovered, which is an estimate, in green, death in yellow, total hospitalized in blue, currently hospitalized in orange, and an estimate of total tests done based on the county's reported positive testing percent. Here I've done a breakdown of positive cases by age range using the county's numbers. A couple of things I want to point out. First, the age range with the largest number of cases is the 18 to 34-year-old range. Second, that the number of cases increased from 283 at the end of May to 1,272 the first 3 days of July. And finally, that most cases that recovered did so at home. Here's one of the other tables I've created using the county's data. The last 2 columns on the right show the amount of increase over the previous week and the percentage of increase over the previous week for each of the communities listed. Now we're going to briefly go over the agenda for the July 7th City Council meeting. Off-site viewing will be available via Zoom, and I'll post the link in the description below this video. There is also a phone-in option as well as a YouTube viewing option. There will be room for a few people to physically attend the meeting. However, face coverings will be required. There will be a presentation of certificates of award for Illustrating America, followed by announcements and reports. On the consent agenda is 1 warrant register, the approval of minutes of meeting held on May 19th, 2020. We'll touch on that a little later. And a resolution authorizing a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises Incorporated, and we'll also touch on that one a little later. Discussion and potential action items include a resolution to update the City of Livingston Parks and Recreation fee policy, a discussion and direction on youth sports fees increases, and discussion and direction on Measure V projects and Measure V expenditures. We'll touch a little more on items 5 and 6 in just a moment. Now we'll take a look at some excerpts from the May 19th City Council meeting minutes. This part here is from County Supervisor Espinoza's report and part of the discussion about reopening the county to Phase 2.5. If you'd like to see a summary of the entire conversation, it begins on page 34 of the City Council agenda packet. This slide is part of the Benefit Assessment District property tax discussion. It's about how these assessments vary depending upon the drainage, detention basins, and street improvements benefit each district. It also shows a request to have everyone pay the same thing. As a side note, if the council takes up this idea, I'll do a spreadsheet showing how much those on the lower end of the scale would need to kick in addition to what they already pay. This is towards the end of the Landscape and Lighting District property tax assessment discussion. It covers a comment that some council members don't seem to understand how these districts work. And also, since it was voted down, it would have to come back to the council for another try. Again, if the council ever decides to try to transfer costs from the higher paying districts onto the lower paying ones, I'll do a spreadsheet to show the difference. This is a July 7th meeting agenda item, and it is about authorizing the city manager or designee to enter into a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises Incorporated for the replacement of police department issued tasers. This is also on the agenda to update the City of Livingston Parks and Recreation fee policy. If we go down to the box in green, it says we have seen an increase in our soccer field use and leagues are competing for use. We have also seen an increase in out-of-area teams using our facilities. It was time to update our policy in dealing with priority user groups and enforcing the policy. Also on the agenda is youth sports fee increases. Looking down at the blue box, a fee survey was taken to the surrounding communities regarding fees for youth sports and park rentals. Livingston youth sport programs were 37.6% lower across the board. Being the lowest across can be an admirable thing. However, if the fees are not paying the bills, then it is time to address solutions. Lastly, there wasn't anything in the agenda packet about the Measure V discussion, so I went to the MCAG website and got this. Think about some of the sidewalk repairs or street repairs that have been going on around town lately. Those would be examples of some of the Measure V type projects. And if I'm remembering correctly, the city is planning to use some Measure V money for a future transportation center. Whew! So, what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments. If you're subscribed to the channel already, you might want to check and make sure you're still subscribed so you're notified whenever a new video goes live. And subscribe if you're new. Until next time, this is the gardening snail of Livingston, California, because not every critter is hiding under a rock.